This is Fitness Blender's Yoga Infused Stretching Workout. In this workout, we're going to be going through a series of fluid stretches of varying repetitions and stretch intervals. You're not going to need any equipment for this routine except for an optional exercise mat. Now let's go ahead and get ready for our first stretch by standing up at the edge of that mat. We're going to be starting off with a hamstring stretch. So feet just about shoulder width apart, legs nice and straight, bend over from those hips, keeping that back relatively flat. Just head down towards those toes as far as you can. Get a nice good stretch in that hamstring. If you want to get into those shoulders as well, like Kelly's doing, you can bring those hands back behind your back and let gravity kind of pull it over behind your head. Otherwise, just reaching down towards those toes with those hands. And go ahead and slowly let it relax. Come back up. We're going to be doing a downward facing dog next. So walk out with those hands. You want to try to make a triangle against the ground so legs stay nice and straight again. Try to keep a nice straight line from hip to ankle as well as from hip to wrist. So press that chest back down towards those feet to try to get a nice straight line through those arms and chest. Now try to hold that position as comfortable as you can, breathing normally, making sure you have those lungs open. We're going to nice and slow switch it to an extension. So bring one leg up, still holding that downward facing dog. One leg comes up over top of you. Nice straight line through that leg. Hold it for just a little bit longer. And then bend that knee. You're going to bring that heel back towards that butt. Get a nice tight squeeze on that hamstring. Still holding that downward facing dog position. Chest down towards that foot. And let it relax. You're going to drop down onto the ground. Keep those hands down by the base of your rib cage. Then press up into a cobra. Arch that head back. Arch that chest back as far as is comfortable. Lock those elbows out if you can. If that back isn't quite flexible enough, then just kind of hold those elbows at a slight bend, just whatever's comfortable for you. Hold it just a little bit longer. And let it relax. You're nice and slow. Come back up into a downward facing dog. Do an extension with that opposite leg that you did last time. So bring it up nice and high. Keep a straight line through that leg. Straight down into that chest. Straight into those arms. Remember, try to keep that chest down towards that foot. And nice and slow, bend that knee, bring that heel towards that butt. Keep that thigh in a nice straight line with that chest. Again, keep those lungs open, pressing that chest down towards that foot you're still standing on. And let it relax. Go and drop down on the ground for our next exercise. We have modified pigeon pose. You have one leg crossed in front of your body, the other leg extending out back behind you. You're going to lay over top of that front leg. Just try to get down as low on that leg, on that thigh as you possibly can, as low as is comfortable. Again, keeping those lungs open. Trying to keep that rear leg nice and straight. Hold it for just a little bit longer. And let it relax. We're going to switch to a pigeon twist. So keeping that leg in front of you, you're going to rotate your shoulders back towards that straight leg. Bend that knee. Tuck it up as close to your body as you can, as close as is comfortable. Just hold that position, rotating those shoulders back towards that bent knee. Again, keep those lungs open. Hold this position as comfortably as you can. Almost done. And let it relax. Drop that leg back down. Switch sides. We're going to do the same exact position, just on the other side. So laying on that thigh first for that pigeon pose. Dropping down over top of that thigh as close as is comfortable. Other leg stretched out nice and straight back behind you. Just breathe normally. Try to let everything relax as much as you can. You want to try to be feeling this in the hip joint or glute of that leg you have tucked in front of you. Hold it just a little bit longer. And switch that pigeon twist. So rotate those shoulders back towards that straight leg. Bend that knee. Squeeze that leg back as close as is comfortable. Really pulling that leg in. Remember, only go as far as is comfortable. You only want a little bit of a stretch. You don't need anything really, really intense. Just keep those lungs open. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to move off to a plank calf stretch. So up into a push-up position, 1 foot at a time. Really shove that heel back towards that ground as far as you can. Should feel a good stretch to that calf of the leg that you're putting all that weight on. And the other leg just kind of out of the way. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Same exact thing on the other side. Press that heel down towards the ground. Get a really good stretch on that calf. And let it relax. We're going to go to a cobra and child's pose combination. So we're going to hold each one of these for 3 seconds. So sit into that cobra pose, really arch that chest up. 3 count, nice and slow. Then sit back into that child's pose. Stretching those arms out away from you, another 3 count. Back into that cobra. Arch that chest up. Good stretch to that chest, those abdominal muscles, probably even into that hip flexor, the front of that thigh. Back into that child's pose. Stretching those arms away from you again, letting that lower back completely release. One more time of each. Go up to that cobra. Arch it up nice and high. And last repetition, back into that child's pose, sitting back in those heels, stretching those hands away, keep those lungs open. And let it relax as you switch into a downward facing dog, so back up onto those toes and hands. Legs nice and straight, nice straight line from hip to wrist, pressing that chest down towards those feet. Keep those lungs open, nice deep breath. Take your time, kind of move around a little bit, find that stretch. And let that one relax. We're going to move on to a Pilates saw. So sit down onto your butt. Those legs are kicked out as wide as is comfortable. Keep them nice and straight. Try to keep that chest straight up and down as much as you can. Reaching your left hand to that right foot, then right hand out to that left foot. Just keep alternating back and forth. Pause in each position. Stretching out. Hold it for just a second. Then back up to the center. Nice straight back in the center. Then stretch it out to the other side. Back up again. Again, just keep alternating back and forth, keeping those lungs open. Inhale as you come up to the center. Exhale as you stretch down towards that leg. Just try as hard as you can to keep those legs as straight as possible. Keep that knee nice and straight. Don't let that knee bend too much. Take your time. This shouldn't be a fast motion. You should be really taking your time, nice and slowly pushing into that stretch. Then nice and slow, come back up. Let that back get nice and straight before you start into that next side. There's our last one. And let it relax. We're going to switch to a single leg hamstring stretch. So one leg tucked in nice and close. The other leg kicked out about a 45-degree angle. Stretch down towards that straight leg. Flex those toes back towards you if you want a little extra stretch out of it. Otherwise, just trying to keep that leg nice and straight. Trying to get that head down to that knee as close as is comfortable. Just hold it there for a little bit longer. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to do a glute stretch next. So on that bent knee, lay over on that leg. You should feel it stretch into that butt muscle of that leg. Just lay onto that thigh as close as is comfortable. Keep those lungs open. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to switch over to the other side. So same exact thing, just on that opposite side. So tuck that opposite leg in, kicking that other leg off to a 45. Keep it nice and straight. Stretching down on that leg as close as you can, head to knee, while still keeping that knee perfectly straight. Again, if you want a little bit harder, flex those toes back towards you to get a little extra stretch out of it. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to switch off to that glute stretch. So lay over top of that bent knee on that opposite leg. Lay down as flat as you can. Again, should feel us back in that glute. Just keep those lungs open. So lay there as comfortably as you can. Almost done. And let it relax. Go ahead and sit back up nice and straight. We're going to go to a butterfly stretch next. So both those feet together nice and close. Pull them in as close as you possibly can, as close as is comfortable. And then use the muscles, the outside of your thigh, to pull those knees down towards the ground as close to the ground as you possibly can. Constantly pulling them down. You should feel this stretch to the inside of that groin, but trying to constantly use the muscles to the outside of that thigh to pull those knees down. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to move on to a hip stretch. So scoot those feet out just a little bit further away from you. Round that back over. Try to really rotate those hips forward so you feel it down inside that hip socket. If you're feeling it more in your lower back and in those outside thighs or that groin, then you're not tilting those hips far enough forward. So really focus on trying to tilt those hips forward. Just keep those lungs open, breathing normally. And let it relax. We're moving on to a knee hug, so laying flat on your back. So bring those knees up to your chest and squeeze them in as close as is comfortable. Again, just keep those lungs open, breathing normally. Let everything relax as much as you can. And we're almost done. And let it relax. We're going to switch off to a deep glute stretch next. So one leg crossed over top of the other, grabbing behind the thigh of that bottom leg, squeezing it in as far as is comfortable. You're going to feel this stretch in the leg that you have tucked over top. So the one that's crossed over top of that leg, you should feel it in the glute or butt muscle of that leg. So just hold it in as close as is comfortable, keeping those lungs open. And let that side relax. Go ahead and switch legs. Other leg over top, pulling that opposite knee in nice and close. Remember that leg that's crossed over top, you should feel it in that glute, that side of that leg. So just keep pulling it in as close as is comfortable. Again, keeping those lungs open, breathing normally. Trying to get that leg in as close on that side as you did on the opposite side. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to do a back bend next. This is a bit of an advanced exercise, so if you can't quite do it, just skip it. Otherwise, those hands come over top that head, pressing up onto those hands and feet, arching that back up nice and high, trying to get those hips up nice and high in the air. Just hold it there as comfortably as you can. Stretching out that back, stretching out that chest, those hip flexors, all the way through that shoulder. And let it relax. We're going to move on to a torso twist next. So you can use just that one leg at a time, rolling it over. That's a little bit harder version, or both legs twisting off to the side. The main thing though is trying to keep those shoulders flat against the ground as much as you can to get a nice stretch on that torso. So keep pushing that knee over, those hips over as far as you can, as long as you're not lifting those shoulders off the ground. Again, just keep those lungs open, breathing normally. We're almost done. And go ahead and switch sides. So bring that opposite knee over top. Do the same version you did on the last side. Again, trying to keep those shoulders down against the ground, rotating those hips off to the side as much as you can, getting a good stretch on that torso, and trying to let everything relax as much as you can. Almost done. We just have one more stretch to go. And go ahead and let this one relax. We're going to move on to our full body stretch for our last exercise. Arms and legs in opposite directions. Nice deep breath in, arch that back up off the ground. Stretch those hands and feet in opposite directions as much as you can, and then inhale, slowly let everything relax. Then right back up again. Exhale, slowly stretch everything out in opposite directions. Inhale, slowly back down. Just keep alternating back and forth, very, very slowly, inhaling and exhaling. And very good job. Let it completely release, and you are done. This workout is complete.